Welcome back, beautiful and amazing people. Dr. Genzo here with another duel video for you. Today we got a really special one. Today we got Dakota playing ELDLICH on the right versus MEKK-KNIGHTS on the left, with some different archetypes and engines splashed into it just for that little extra bit of extension. Let's go ahead and get into it. With an extra being activated at the start of main phase 1 on the ELDLICH player's side. We're just going to call him Dakota for now. Now, ELDLICH definitely been making the rounds in this new format with the new list because of 3 skill drain, obviously. And a lot of people going to play it at the case tournament, this was filmed at. The Battle Chaos Sneak Peek Case Tournament. Battle Chaos will be out by the time this video is posted. And hope you guys got some really good pulls out that set. Droll and Lotbird being chained after the draw 2 from the extra, meaning no more searches. ELDLICH does tend to enjoy searching the deck, but they mostly just set from the deck, so it's not really that big of an issue. But as you can see, he does have an ELDLAND in his hand, which means he cannot use it this turn, which is a little bit unfortunate for him. So looks like he's going to attempt to set 4, but just set 3 instead, thinking better of it and passing the turn there. I wonder why he decided not to set 4 there, but maybe he just wants that extra little oomph in his hand for next turn, just in case. MEKK-KNIGHTS going now, setting 1 card. Then special summoning a mekk-knight Blue Sky right off the bat. Good starter there, letting him search. Let's see if Dakota has a response to that. That's going to get Solemn Strike, the effect activation on Summon, which will also destroy the mekk-knight of Blue Sky. Solemn Strike getting a reprint in the Grand Creators, which is very, very nice. Allows more access to it because that card's still a little bit high in price before the reprint. Not as good as, say, some other negates, but it's there. Drawing for turn on the ELDLICH player's side now. Looks like that's the only play MEKK-KNIGHTS had at the time. Dakota now activating that Curse ELDLAND he's been saving. Looks like he's going to try and pay 8 to feel great. And let's see if MEKK-KNIGHTS have a response. They do not, so it looks like he's going to be able to get a search for any Golden Land or ELDLICH card from his deck. Looks like he's going to use the ELDLICH effect targeting the back row on the MEKK-KNIGHT player's side. Now this is where ELDLICH really shines, because the effect activates in the grave and also in the hand. So ELDLICH doesn't really have any effects on board, per se. So this is why skill drain's so effective in the deck, and that's why it's become such a powerhouse deck that you see a lot of at tournaments now, just because of that 3 skill drain. Because skill drain shuts down a lot of decks in this format, just in general as well. So being able to have a deck that can not only play through it, but also get rid of it if needed, because ELDLICH can also get rid of the skill drain when he's in the graveyard if needed, is just astoundingly good. And also all the Golden Land traps are trap effects, not technically monster effects, so skill drain doesn't affect their effects either. So Huaquero and Conquistador will still get their banish and pop respectively. Looks like he's going to set 2 more for a grand total of 4. And on end phase using Conquistador, he set an Elixir from the deck by banishing itself from the grave. That's also another advantage of ELDLICH, as well as a very good strength of the deck, is just the amount of recursion. It is kind of crazy how this archetype only has 1 monster, but it's still just astoundingly good because of the amount of recursion and consistency that the cards give to one another. Elixir search the Golden Lands search the Elixirs, etc., etc. Looks like he's going to normal summon another Droll and Lotbird here. That's kind of weird, but looks like he's going to link it off here to try and basically save himself a little bit here, see if he can't last 1 more turn, because it looks like he doesn't have enough of those extenders in his hand, which is very uncommon for MEKK-KNIGHTS. MEKK-KNIGHTS are definitely a deck that love to extend because they just special summon themselves from the hand and grave a lot. They have a lot of spell trap support that summons them from the grave, and a lot of monster support that summons them from the hand and also searches, like that Blue Sky you saw. Huaquero being activated, chaining Scarlet Sanguine now. So Sanguine's gonna resolve first, and the Huaquero. And Huaquero special summons itself as a trap monster, and whenever it does, if you control an ELDLICH, you can banish a card from either graveyard. Basically a DD Crow, which is very good. Looks like he's going to target that MEKK-KNIGHT of Blue Sky, just in case he's got any shenanigans, because again, MEKK-KNIGHTS do have that spell trap support that like to take stuff out of the grave. And if you notice, the MEKK-KNIGHT player's playstyle he's definitely paying attention to the columns where he puts his back row, because the Mekk-Knights special summon themselves in columns where there are 2 more cards. All of them have that effect in common. Except, of course, the vanilla monster. Huakera swinging now at the Link Karibo. And looks like the attack's probably just going to go through here. And enough damage on the board, we're just going to go to game 2. Alright, folks, here we are in game 2. Looks like Mekk-Knights are going to start us off here, as you don't really want to give the ELDLICH player the first turn. Set up all those traps that you have to just play through. But here's the thing about ELDLICH. It's not a deck to be underestimated. While he's not being able to go first to set up all those traps, it is definitely still a deck to be reckoned with on account of the siding opportunity, as well as just the fact that ELDLICH can still pitch from hand to send something on the board to the grave. It does target, unfortunately, but if it didn't, it'd just be stupid powerful. So it looks like Alistair's going to get normal summon and an invocation being added to the hand now. It's one of those engines that you see with this Mekk-Knight player. He's running a little bit of different engines in the deck with Alistair and another one that you'll see later on in game 3. So it's very nice. However, it is a little cookie cutter, a little boring invocation invoked just in general. Very single-minded plays in the sense of it's really only just one line that you go because you want to get the make out. Granted, if your deck needs to run it, your deck needs to run it. So it looks like he's going to special summon a Mekk-Knight, since there was 2 cards in that column, an Indigo Eclipse, and then go into Morning Star, pitching off a World Legacy World Chalice. There you are with all the text, because that card has a lot of words for just a cup. And looks like he's going to be able to search because of the Morning Star's effect. Now that's some of that extension that I was telling you about in game 1 with the Mekk-Knights. Just very good at putting bodies on the board and then extending. Not as good as Phantom Knights, mind you, but it's still definitely a deck not to be overlooked if the person playing it is playing it right, which this person has played it for a long time, so he definitely knows what he's doing here. As he special summons a Purple Nightfall from the hand, banishing it for its effect. It's going to come back at the standby phase of the next turn, and looks like he's going to get a search. Searching off a Yellow Star, and then Indigo Eclipse in the grave is going to be activated, I believe. Or possibly not. I don't really know all the Mekk-Knight effects off the top of my head. I apologize in advance. Looks like he's going to now special summon that Yellow Star that he added to his hand, and then link 3 here. Setting up a pretty big board here. Looks like he's going to go into Spectrum Supreme. Just being able to link climb with all those Mekk-Knights, being able to special themselves in a column with 2 cards, which is very nice. Now, Invocation is going to be activated in that column. He set it so the Mekk-Knights can special themselves, since they all have the effect of special summoning whenever there's 2 or more cards in a column. Now that it's basically no longer useful for him to do that, looks like he's going to use that Invocation to go into an Invoked Makeup, banishing the Alistair and the Artemis from his graveyard. Putting out an Omni Negate and also Spectrum Supreme, whatever it does. I apologize. I do not know the effect off the top of my head, but I know it's a 3K beat stick, which is very, very nice. And then now putting the Invocation back in the deck in order to add the Alistair back to hand. Again, that's what makes these engines so good. ELDLICH, Invoked, just, they're called engines for a reason, just the ability to recur and the ability to reuse them as you see fit. Which comes in very handy, especially for rogue decks like Mekk-Knights at the moment. Setting another card, it looks like, right next to the Makeup, and then passing the turn. ELDLICH now going to draw for turn. Now again, ELDLICH a little bit at a disadvantage because it's a trap deck. Trap decks like going first, but this is game 2, so he's had the opportunity to side, and I'm pretty sure he knew that he was going to be going second here, as no one in their right mind will let a trap deck go first unless they had every out known to man in their deck and they knew that they were going to draw it. So Pot of Duality being activated here. Let's see what he gets. And let's see what he gets in order to get out of the sticky situation of going second with a deck like ELDLICH. However, ELDLICH, again, it's not that big of a handicap due to the fact that ELDLICH can activate its effect in the hand, and it can still basically do things. And also you can just set 5 and pass the turn, and if they don't have anything like DPE or anything to capitalize on you basically not summoning anything on your turn, then you're basically just set up, and it's almost as if you went first. Trying to determine columns here. And it looks like we're going to set 5 on Dakota's side and pass the turn. Now, here's where those 3 magic words comes in, folks. Normal summon Denko. However, the mekk-knight player, I do not believe is playing Denko, which would be a real shame because I'm definitely planning to side that, especially for the ELDLICH plays. Now, ELDLICH can still get rid of Denko, but it still buys you a turn, basically, which is... And also, it's just kind of funny. On the Summon of Nightfall, we might have a response here. And we do, with an Ice Dragon's Prison being activated. Very good card, very nice card. Looks like he's going to have to pick a target in the graveyard and banish from either side of the board non-targeting. Looks like he's going to choose the Morning Star here. Morning Star, and then banishing it and Makeup, since they're both machines, which is not the norm for mekk-knights. Most mekk-knights are, or all mekk-knights are psychic except for that one. And I believe Spectrum Supreme also might be a machine, or it might be a psychic. Again, I cannot remember. I have never had that thing summoned on me. Looks like we're attempt to go in battle here. Spectrum Supreme going to swing for 3k and then 25 on the Purple Nightfall. However, Hawk Arrow is going to be activated on the declaration of the first attack, it seems. And let's see if we have a response here. And looks like we do, with a Twin Twisters being activated, pitching off an Alistair from the hand in order to pop 2 spells and traps on the field. Let's see what he targets here. Looks like he's going to target that Walkero first of all in order to get some damage in, because getting damage in is very nice, especially against a slow deck like ELDLICH, because you might be going into time. Looks like he's going to hit the thing right next to the Walkero as well as the Walkero itself, and it looks like 5,500 damage total will be done here. And let's see if there's any other plays during main phase 2. Looks like there will be, with a World Legacy Secret being activated. I believe it's actually still in battle phase here. My apologies for saying main phase 2. Got a little ahead of myself. Basically a call by the, or call the Haunted for a level 5 or higher monster in the graveyard. Then also, monster effects cannot be activated in the same column as mekk-knights. So it looks like he's going to special summon back that Indigo Eclipse, chaining Dogmatica Punishment to the activation, targeting the Purple Nightfall, it seems. Looks like there will be a response. The Purple Nightfall is going to chain its own effect to banish itself. And since Purple Nightfall gets banished, the Dogmatica Punishment will not send another monster. So Intis will not be able to be sent to pop the World Legacy Secrets. And then Purple Nightfall will let him get a search. And this is all still in battle phase, mind you folks. Looks like he's going to add a Girsu, the Orcus mekk-knight. And then the Indigo Eclipse is going to go ahead and swing for 2,400 damage, leaving Dakota at 100 life points. Let's see if he can come back from this. The skill drain does require 1,000 life points in order to be activated. But as of now, we're going to go into main phase 2. Normal summoning now the Girsu of the Orcus mekk-knight, or Girsu of the Orcus mekk-knight. Sorry, I had a little brain fart there, as we now link 2 with it into probably an IP Masquerena. Basically getting that extra bit of reactivity on the board for the opponent's next turn, just in case. At end phase, the Walkero is going to be activated to banish the set in Elixir Scarlet. Now, I don't know if this will actually supposed to be resolved because of the fact that he attempted to activate the Walkero this turn, but it was Twin Twistered. So I don't really know if that counts as using the Walkero, because you can only use 1 effect per turn. But if not, then fine. But if so, then oh well, the opponent didn't catch it. Now activating a Pod Duality on the ELDLICH player's side. Let's see if what he gets off the top here. And let's hope that it's something that can get him out of this little bit of a sticky situation here. That skill drain definitely won't. He can't even activate it. So, a Call by the Grave will definitely be nice, but a Conquistador will also be nice in an ELDLICH build. Again, this is one of the problems with ELDLICH going second, is that if the opponent builds up a fairly impressive board presence, the amount of traps you have just simply won't cut it. And even then, going first, there's always the risk of a Lightning Storm, a Harpies, and just a Twisters or a Cyclone. Hitting just the right card, you never know. Drawing for turn on the mekk-knight player's side now. Let's see if he has a way to get around 3 back row. He knows one of them is a Conquistador at least. So, again, let's see what happens, because ELDLICH, you can never tell with the traps they might run. It's a very versatile deck with the amount of traps that you can use. Activating Conquistador on the declaration of an attack, and Red Reboot's going to be chained. And looks like we're going to go to game 3 here, folks. Alright folks, here we are in game 3. ELDLICH is going to go ahead and start us off here. As ELDLICH is wont to do, it is definitely a going first deck, especially when you're playing that many traps. Activating a Curse ELDLAND to start us off with, paying 8 and feeling great as we add a Golden Land spell or trap or an ELDLICH monster from the deck to the hand. Now this is very good because ELDLAND also has another effect which lets him pitch a Golden Land spell or trap from the deck whenever it leaves the spell trap zone and sent to the graveyard, which ELDLICH can do from the hand, which is, again, just shows the amount of synergy with the deck that ELDLICH brings to the table. Very consistent, very good way to get him out. It's not very hard to get an ELDLICH onto the board, and since the deck kind of revolves around him and just his effect is just good in general, then it's very nice. So it looks like he's going to target his own ELDLAND to send, and it looks like he's going to attempt to send from the deck with ELDLAND since it was sent. And here we get into a little bit of a misdirection here by the opponent. I'm not sure if he knew or if he misread, but he says that ELDLAND you can only use one effect per turn. That is not the case. You can use each effect once per turn. So you can search, and then you can also dump whenever it's sent. Otherwise, the amount of synergy that the deck is known for would not be as brilliant. Granted, it is just one card, and the deck is very good in and of its own right, but that extra bit of oomph that the ELDLAND gives is just fantastic. So it looks like he's going to go straight to end phase after that, setting a Scarlet Sanguine from the deck off the effect of the Conquistador that he sent to activate ELDLICH's effect from the hand. And let's see if mekk-knights can play against this 3 back row board here. Activating Anti-Spell in the standby. Very good against Cyclone, Twisters, basically anything that can cause his deck strife. But it looks like a Twisters is going to be chained to the Anti-Spell. This man just loves himself some Twisters in his hand, huh folks? He's going to have to pitch a card for cost now. Pitching off a Harpy's Feather Duster since it's kind of useless at the moment, since that Twin Twisters is already going to get most of what he needs off the board. So it looks like he's going to target that Anti-Spell, and looks like he's going to target the furthest right back row. Walk Arrow is going to be chained, chaining Elixir of Scarlet. So Scarlet's going to resolve first, and then Walk Arrow is going to resolve, and then Twisters is going to resolve. And then after Twisters resolves, Anti-Spell is going to resolve, but it'll no longer be on the field, obviously. So Scarlet will get him an ELDLICH out of the deck, or any zombie if he already controls an ELDLICH, but that's not really what the deck's known for. The deck's known for just ELDLICH. Now, looks like he's out of targets, which means if he plays 2 ELDLICH, then the other one is in his hand. That is not very good information to give to the opponent, but sometimes it's what you're forced to do. So Huaquero is going to be summoned, but looks like he's not going to be able to banish anything. And then Huaquero is also going to die since it's still treated as a trap card. And just like that, all that back row that he was worried about is gone, which means it is basically open season for him to do what he wants, as he activates a Trickstar Light Stage. Now I had to look this up on TCG Player because I had no idea what this card was at first. I had to see what in the actual heck it was, but because I was confused, I was like, Trickstars and mekk-knights, what? And sure enough, yeah, he's playing Trickstars in mekk-knights, because again, they just add that extra level of extension, which is very good. Looks like he's going to add a Trickstar Corbane, which is very nice because, again, extension, and it's a level 5, so, and Blue Sky is also level 5, so it'll lead to some plays that could include Exeasing, Links, etc., etc. So, special summoning it off its own effect now. Setting a card in the same column as ELDLICH, being very careful, being very meticulous about where he sets his cards, because, again, mekk-knights love those column plays. Going into a Yellow Star, summoning it off its own effect, and then linking those two off. From a Yellow Star into a Morning Star, folks, he's going to link summon into a mekk-knight of the Morning Star. Then use this effect to pitch from hand, or possibly not, actually. He's not going to use this effect to pitch from hand. Instead, he's going to special summon a mekk-knight at Red Moon, banishing a mekk-knight from the graveyard, that Yellow Star, to target a card on the field and pop it. So it looks like he's going to target that ELDLICH. since that Eldlich does not have protection from its own effect, since it was not special summoned from the graveyard off its own effect. And it looks like he's going to swing with both of them for, I believe, 4,300 damage. We'll see here in a moment as the edit comes up on the screen. Yep, 4,300 damage, 23 from the Red Moon, and 2,000 from the Morning Star. Then on end phase, or possibly not end phase, linking all of them off now, to go into a Spectrum Supreme once again. Then on end phase, and then on the summon, looks like Elixir Scarlet Sanguine is going to be activated to banish to set a Goldenland spell trap. Now again, he already used it this turn, and you can only activate one effect per turn. So again, looks like some things are lost in translation here, but you live and you learn. Setting another card here, it seems, and then attempting to use Eldlich's effect in the grave. Chaining Call by the Grave. Man, this guy just had everything in his hand. Banishing that Eldlich, so it will not get its effect. However, the card that he was supposed to send does send for cost, so that staying on the board is also a little bit of a misplay there. At the end phase, banishing the Wakero of the Golden Land in order to set an Elixir from the deck. Again, you can stop the plays with this deck, but at the same time, the amount of synergy and the amount of consistency it has is just great for what it is, especially in a format with 3 skill drain. Drawing for turn on mekk-knight's side now. And it looks like he top decked yet another card, Red Reboot.